He walked into his diner undercover, just to see how things were running. But the moment he spotted a waitress serving with a broken hand, his world stopped. Why was she still working? Who made her do this? He leaned closer, not knowing the truth he was about to uncover would leave him completely stunned. If you're a good person, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Comment below and tell us what kind of story you'd like to see next. The bell above the diner's door jingled softly as another customer walked in. But the man in the corner booth didn't move. He kept his cap pulled low, eyes fixed on the staff moving around. Nobody in the diner knew who he really was. To them, he was just another quiet customer sipping black coffee. In reality, he was Ethan Blake, the real owner of the diner, a self-made businessman who owned several restaurants across town. This morning, he wasn't here as Ethan Blake, the wealthy owner. He was here as just Ethan, the man who wanted to see the truth behind closed doors. Because lately, he had heard whispers, complaints, rumors, and he wanted to see for himself how his staff was being treated when he wasn't around. At first, everything looked fine. Orders were being taken, food was coming out fast, customers were smiling. But then, he saw her, a waitress, no older than 23, carrying a heavy tray with shaking hands. One hand was wrapped in a dirty bandage. She placed plates on the table with a forced smile, but Ethan saw it, the pain flickering in her eyes with every movement. Ethan's jaw tightened. What in the world? Why is she working like this? She turned slightly, and for a brief second, Ethan caught a glimpse of her bandage, swollen, bruised beneath the wrapping. He noticed how she flinched when she gripped the coffee pot, spilling a few drops, quickly wiping them away before the manager noticed. But the manager did notice. From the corner, a man in a pressed shirt and slicked-back hair glared at her. His lips curled, and he muttered something under his breath. The waitress lowered her head, almost in fear, and rushed back toward the kitchen. Ethan's eyes narrowed. Something was wrong. This wasn't just about a waitress with an injured hand. This was about power, control, fear. He leaned back in his booth, his heart pounding. He had seen enough to know something ugly was happening in his diner. Minutes later, the waitress came back with a coffee pot, approaching Ethan's table. Her smile was forced, her voice weak. "Refill, sir?" she asked. Ethan nodded, studying her face closely. She was pale, exhausted, as if she hadn't slept in days. As she poured, her hand trembled. She hissed in pain, almost dropping the pot. Ethan quickly steadied it with his own hand. Their eyes met. For a second, her mask slipped. She looked terrified. "Are you okay?" Ethan asked quietly. Her lips parted, but she glanced over her shoulder, where the manager was watching. Her expression hardened. She forced a smile. "I'm fine," she whispered. "Just clumsy." But Ethan wasn't convinced. He had been in business long enough to know when someone was lying out of fear. The manager barked from across the room. "Maya, table 4's waiting. Move faster!" She flinched and hurried away. Ethan gripped his coffee cup tightly. Maya. So that's her name. He needed to know the truth. The rest of the morning, Ethan watched carefully. He saw Maya struggle to carry trays, saw her wince every time she lifted something with her injured hand. But more than that, he saw the way the manager treated her, the glares, the harsh words, the way she shrank every time he approached. Customers noticed, too. A woman whispered to her husband, "Why is that girl working like that? Someone should let her rest." But nobody spoke up. Nobody dared. And Ethan understood why. Because every time Maya slowed down, the manager's eyes darkened like a storm, as if he was silently warning her. Something told Ethan this was more than a simple workplace injury. This was fear. And fear always had a reason. When his meal was done, Ethan left money on the table, but his eyes stayed on Maya. She gave him the faintest nod, as though silently begging him to understand something she couldn't say out loud. As Ethan stepped outside, the cold morning air hit his face. He paused on the sidewalk, staring back at the diner's glowing sign. One thing was certain. He couldn't just walk away. He needed answers. And whatever Maya was hiding, he was going to uncover it. The next day, Ethan returned. Same booth, same coffee, same disguise. But this time, he was prepared. He had one goal: to get Maya alone and hear her story. Morning rush filled the diner again. Maya moved between tables, her face pale but smiling. Every time she lifted a plate, Ethan winced on her behalf. Finally, when the crowd thinned, Ethan caught her eye and gestured her over. "Can I ask you something?" he said quietly. She hesitated, looked around, then leaned in. "Quick, I don't." "Have long. Your hand," Ethan said. "That's not just an accident, is it?" Her lips parted. Panic flashed across her face. "Please, don't!" Before she could finish, the manager appeared. "Maya, stop chatting and get back to work." She jumped, almost spilling the water. She carried. Ethan's blood boiled, but he stayed calm. The manager walked off, muttering insults under his breath. When Maya returned with a pot of coffee, Ethan whispered, "Meet me outside after your shift, please. I just want to help." She froze. For a second, Ethan thought she would refuse. But then, with the faintest nod, she whispered, "Behind the alley, 15 minutes after close." That night, Ethan waited in the cold, leaning against the brick wall of his diner. The street was quiet, only the hum of a distant car. Then, footsteps. Maya appeared, clutching her jacket tight. Her eyes darted nervously. "You shouldn't be here," she whispered. "I told you," Ethan said, voice steady. "I want to help. Tell me what's going on." Her hands shook. She pulled off the bandage slowly. Ethan's stomach dropped. Her hand wasn't just bruised, it was fractured. The swelling was severe, purple and red, clear signs of a serious injury. "I can't go to the hospital," Maya said softly. "I don't have insurance, and if I take time off, I'll lose my job." She stopped, eyes flicking toward the diner. "He said if I don't work, I'll be replaced, and I can't afford to lose this job." Ethan's chest tightened. "He? You mean the manager?" Tears welled in her eyes. "He doesn't care. He yells at me, threatens me. I can't even tell you how I got this." She broke off, shivering. "Please, don't say anything. If he finds out I talked—" Ethan placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "Maya, listen to me. You don't have to be afraid anymore. I promise you, I'll take care of this." She shook her head, whispering, "You don't understand. He's worse than you think. He's hiding things, the money, the shifts, even the tips. Everyone's scared of him." Ethan's jaw clenched. He had seen corrupt managers before, but this was personal, because this wasn't just his employee. This was his diner, and someone was poisoning it from the inside. Maya looked at him, desperate. "Why do you even care?" Ethan's eyes burned with a quiet fury. He reached into his jacket, pulled out his wallet, and placed a card in her trembling hand. She looked at it and froze. Her eyes widened as she read the name. Printed in bold letters, Ethan Blake, owner. Her breath caught. You're... "Yes," Ethan said firmly. "I'm the owner, and starting tomorrow, things are going to change." Maya's lips trembled. For the first time that day, relief washed over her face. But behind her, the diner's back, door creaked open. Heavy footsteps echoed. The manager's voice cut through the night, sharp and cold. "What the hell is going on here?" Ethan turned, eyes narrowing. It was time the truth came out.